I've just decided I have so many double downs. This is probably going to be mostly a day of double downs. So how about we call every Friday Double Down Friday? All right. Linda K. Gifford here, survivor of 7 years of childhood grooming and sexual assault, not abuse. I was assaulted, and so were you if you're a CSA survivor, or God forbid a victim, because we don't want you to be a victim. That's what we're not doing anymore. All right, here, let's get in a little bit. See all the tiny lines in crow's feet. Okay, so double down day. I am not body shaming. I wrote these notes. Not body shaming, no forgiveness, don't marry your abuser, don't trade your daughter for a cow. Yeah, okay. I really do want to talk about that. Teens and 20-somethings. Gross. Be a fucking grown-up. Great sex life is not about quantity. Just reading my notes to you. Sex does not equal intimacy or love. These are the things I think after looking through my live streams and looking through my comments and having discussions with people that I coach. Friday's kind of a summary of everything, my double downs, and 2 things that one may not agree with, but you're wrong. And also, congratulations, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. Yeah, I am so pleased to get a woman of your stature. I don't give a goddamn what color you are, but it's also nice that you're the first black woman. I don't like these terms, black and white. Have you ever met someone that's black? My old drummer, he's pretty dark, but it's still not black, more espresso, you know? And me, there's another double down. I don't know why people get on here and talk about makeup, but I don't wear makeup. I do wear L'Oreal Illuminator, and my skin is actually way whiter. The Illuminator kind of gives it a little bit of a... So I'm sorry. I'm happy to be. So what about color? I'm glad we have a black woman justice, but mostly I'm glad we have such an sophisticated, enlightened, and educated and experienced individual on the Supreme Court. Thank you very much. Judge, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. So, let's see, what else is on my double downs? Oh, I have to double down on this constantly. People just, the religious, the deeply religious. And I don't have a problem with your religion. Just the people who have confused the power trippy part of their religion with the kind and merciful, loving, love your neighbor part of their religion. People that buy into the power trip and the, you know, you have to believe this and you have to believe that. Even though we came up with all that stuff in different parts of the world, obviously it's all just kind of ways to describe or control. So, keep the good part of your religion that is loving kindness, definitely. But when it comes to forgiveness, the sense I'm talking about, okay, I will agree with those I argue with. And if I have argued with you, you're a lucky soul, because I generally don't waste my energy arguing with anybody unless I feel you have a partially valid something to say. I have Asperger's and I have no time for nonsense. I need 3 of me working 48 hours a day to accomplish what I need to accomplish. And anyway, just saying, you will always get it straight from me. And when it comes to forgiveness, forgiveness is overrated. And that is a chapter. My chapters are short. There's a lot of chapters. I'm going to read you my chapter titles. I was making a list of chapter titles last night, new ones. New chapter titles, because I like lots of little chapters. That way, if you just like keep it in the bathroom, it can be like, you know, your read and relax book. And sexual assault survivor guide. I don't know. In any case, forgiveness is overrated. And here's why. The go-to is always, well, you've got to forgive yourself. And like I said yesterday, no, you don't. You didn't do anything wrong. People who tell you you have to forgive yourself, that's a hidden power trip. That's the hidden power trip, because it implies that there is something that you have done that needs forgiven, and there is not. Okay? And where I get really hung up are religions that act as culture. Religions that disguise themselves as culture. culture that disguises itself as religion. So this is another double down. And oh my gosh, I can't even believe that I've had this with good church-going old Christian ladies have doubled down with me about leaving other cultures alone. Cultures that mistreat women, cultures where women can't make their own decisions, cultures where you can't choose who you marry. Can you imagine? I mean, we're CSA survivors and we have a chance to learn the things I've been talking about intensely, especially the last 2 days. We've been intensely talking about your own orgasms, your own pleasure. The fact that if you aren't taking care of you, you can't give to anybody else. You can only be a tool for them. And that's something I wanted to expound upon today is, I spoke at length about how if you're not making yourself happy, then then the other person doesn't even have a chance to experience the full heights of, when it comes to sex, sexual pleasure. And when it comes to talking, be just the depths that an honest relationship can bring. And if you are in a relationship like that, where someone is not even interested in you or your pleasure, and where you can never live up to them and they're condescending and patronizing to you, that's not a marriage. That's not a partnership. That's nobody you should be with. I don't care if you've got 16 kids. Get the hell out. Plot, plan, find your way, apply for aid, talk to friends and relatives, do what you need to do, but put you and your happiness first, because you cannot teach even your children. If you are just one of these people that's just giving for everybody else, is that what you want to teach your kids to do? Do you want to teach your I talk about all kids, but specifically right now, daughters, is that what you want to teach your daughters to do, is submit? And do you want to teach your transgendered children and your gay children and all the other permutations of LGBTQIA? Do you want to tell them that they have to submit to some societal norm or to another person? No. So why in the world are you calling yourself a Christian, Muslim, Jew, whatever, any monotheistic religion that believes that people and humanity matters, right? How can you sit there and argue with me that a culture that allows a man to marry his stepdaughter in addition to her mother, and whoever the goddamn he wants to, a culture that allows you to set your wife on fire if she displeases you, in the back villages of Pakistan, it wasn't that long ago that a couple was tied by the neck to a tree for adultery and stoned to death. Nobody cares. There's a sign when you're leaving Islamabad. There's a sign right at the edge of town that says, basically, there ain't no cops past here in Urdu. So, most of the world, women are disparaged against, including America. And everyone from other women to the freaking Uber driver in St. Louis, I was staying at this really nice, I recommend it, what was it? The Clayton Regency in St. Louis for 3 nights to visit a friend and go see their show and just spend some time, a getaway with my partner. And I decided to take a train from Springfield to St. Louis. And then my partner would pick me up, but he was running late, so I got an Uber, right, to the hotel. And the driver from Ethiopia, very well dressed, very educated, young student, but he's trying to convince me how good I've got it. And I'm just like, all you're convincing me is how bad women where you are from have got it. And that pisses me off. I don't like people having it bad. I don't like anyone having it bad. And I especially don't like women having it bad. So don't accept other people's culture if that culture marginalizes women. So there you go. Now we are tasked with changing the whole goddamn world. Okay? Are you with me? And yes, we can. Yes, we can. To the Debbie Downer that already told me, you can't change the world. Not in your lifetime. And I'm like, I can change my part of it. I can change my part of it. And if I can't change my part of it, I will be happy to scream from my soapbox because it makes me feel better. That's the E in my SPADES program, educate and advocate. I do it to change the world, but I do it to take it out of me. So back on to kind of a nitty gritty, what we've been talking about endlessly. We started with the S. We're doing a whole week on each letter. The first week, it was like half a week, was the shame is not yours. But that each letter weaves into every other one because they all go together. It's like a bing, bing, bing pile on progression. It's like a pyramid, right? So you're going to start with the base of the pyramid. The shame is not yours, right? You're going to tell yourself that anytime you need to for the rest of your life. You're going to be your own cheerleader. And if you're a person who doesn't think talking to yourself is a good thing, I may not be the coach for you, because talk to myself all the time. I cheerlead myself. I had alters that took over, not frequently, only in severe times of, abuse. Little girl took over when I was having to take the sexual assaults, and rage took over when little girl cried and cried until she was going to freaking die and hid somewhere, and rage told her to get on her feet and go be perfect and not tell anyone, and that you can kill him someday. All right, so I had these two voices going all the time when I needed them, and none of the time when I didn't. So by compartmentalizing these two alternate personalities, I saved myself. And that is a good thing, medically speaking. But as an adult, it does not serve me anymore. Or it didn't until I learned to shift it. And this is kind of what my whole book deal is. Not my whole book deal. A big part of what my program has turned into, because it was just getting my thoughts out. At first, it was just punishing my assaulter. I just wanted it to get around my hometown that I just wanted to say, this happened. Instead of confessing what I did, I wanted to blame my accuser, because the shame is not mine, and that was my first step, putting this out there. I blacked out. I freaked out. I met Rage, my second alter. I met Little Girl 20 years ago. I talk all about that in other ones, so go back if you want to, and all of these are on YouTube. There's like over 80 and 5 more a week on YouTube, plus a bunch of TikToks, shorts that I take out of it. If you don't have time and you want the Reader's Digest edition, it's on TikTok. But anyway, it's just so important that you realize the shame is not yours, so you can get on to the P in spades. It's separating the past from the present. You're going to do this all day long too, right? So now that you know the shame is not yours, that's the base of the pyramid, remember? The next thing that's going to happen the most frequently is the cPTSD experiences. Being reminded of something traumatic that happened to you and having it appear in your world right in front of you, playing simultaneously with the now you. And you've got that one moment, which I talk about at length, go back, but I'm not going to do it now. You got that one moment to stick with the present. You can jump down that cPTSD rabbit hole and freak out and cry, scream, get a headache, lose it, go to the hospital, drink, have stupid sex, whatever. You can do that, or you recognize it now, because once you do the trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy I'm always talking about, you're going to be able to make a conscious thought. First, you're going to be overwhelmed every time. That's why we're always survivors and we never graduate, because you're always going to be overwhelmed. Not overwhelmed. Take that back. Reverse that. That's Willy Wonka would say. You're always going to be first aware of the sight, smell, sensation kind of part of your memory. And usually that goes full-blown PTSD. But once you practice my little techniques that are really easy once you get used to it, that's going to just become, my name is Linda Gifford. It's 2022. I'm looking through my blinds out my street. There's a bird. The beautiful tree is blossoming. I am back in reality. I'm just thinking about the past, right? Because now I got a memory. That TFCPT made a memory. And I'm going to choose to access the memory instead of the rabbit hole. So you can jump down the rabbit hole, or you can choose the memory. And if you want to hear more about that, go back over the last couple of days and intensively the last week. On YouTube, it's Linda K. Surviving in Spades. Because that ended up being the name of my program. Just because spades jumped out at me, and I like spades is living in abundance. Things in spades, if it comes in spades, it comes in abundance. And I like the idea of abundance, So we've been talking a lot. Again, this is don't wait to be okay. Don't wait to feel okay to be okay. Meaning you're always a survivor. You're never going to be normal, but you're not normal. You're a normal CSA survivor. Welcome to the club nobody wanted to be in. But here we are nonetheless. And aren't we nice people, right? So don't put up with bullshit. You're a nice person. You don't have to live for somebody else. Go get your orgasm. Go have a relationship that involves real intimacy. But there's only one way to do that, right? And it's a great way. Don't be scared. It's a great way. You have to learn that sex and intimacy do go hand in hand. But sex and intimacy, I would say most of the time, are not being accepted hand in hand. People are taking sex when they want intimacy. Don't confuse the two. I'm having a drink of my coffee. And no, I don't buy the expensive bottles. My kid's friend does. I make my own. It is Starbucks, though, or Pete's Espresso blend. And then I fill them. Because, no, I'm on a budget. I run the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund. I can barely keep a roof over my own head, especially with the broken foot thing going on. So the last thing I'm going to do is buy expensive coffee. That's a double down that I, on Double Down Friday, because someone... not on here, just a friend was like, well, you're drinking all that expensive coffee. I'm like, no, I am not. You know me better than that. I save wrapping paper for next year. Come on. Okay. Are we refreshed? So, I was also told to tone it down. Not a chance. Not going to happen. So, sex does not equal intimacy or love. A great sex life is not about quantity. That being said, have a lot of sex all the time. If you're not having some kind of quantity with your partner, and this is a gender non-exclusive statement, I don't care what's in your pants or your partner's pants, whether either of you likes to wear dresses or not. I don't care. This is partner, okay? Sex comes in a lot of forms, as we all know. Intimacy comes in a lot of forms. One of the forms sex comes in, and this is the one I want to talk about, is the one where you're dissociating and you're having sex and hoping for love because you haven't made the connection yet that... You haven't made the connection yet. I didn't. Let me use me. I've been married and divorced 3 times. I thought I had good sex. I think they thought we had good sex. Not to speak for anybody. But it wasn't until I discovered actually being drawn to someone chemically, physically, like the sound of his voice, we'll say for our purposes, the sound of their voice, the sound of the smell, not even a smell, but just like the pheromone that surrounds them, the desire. Somebody finally awakened desire in me that made me want to be physical with them. And I suddenly realized something I never knew before. And this just happened within the last 2 years. I suddenly realized that there's a difference between physically wanting to have sex and wanting to have sex physically. I don't think I put that very well. Most people I talk, now that I've thought of this, now that I've started writing about it, and I run all this by real survivors, you guys online. And I hook up with people. No, I don't hook up with people. That did not come out right. I am loyal. I love my partner so much. I have a forever partner. And it's because of that. I wanted them. For the first time, I didn't want to make them want me. I wanted them. Likewise, I was very glad they also wanted me. But that was all kind of a natural process. And then I realized that's what we are missing. That's what we don't know exists, is falling we'll call it, for the sake of not being mushy, lust with somebody. So when when the first time you have sex, it's raped out of you, then sex becomes something that you associate. I know, you think you're healthy if you're properly associating it within a relationship. Well, sex is expected of me, and you know what? This isn't even bad. I even don't mind this. It's actually kind of like it, whatever. But until you have that drawn to chemical thing, you don't know you're missing it. And that's something that I have identified personally. I am not a doctor. I just play one on TikTok. No, actually, I'm just a CSA survivor. Many, many years, 7 years of this grooming, and 3 of it raping. And as I've said before, without getting into the nitty gritty of being shared and drugged and manipulated as a child, also remember, I'm going to throw in here, don't turn your partner into your counselor or your therapist, because you're going to give them PTSD too. I don't want my partner thinking about every horrible thing that was done to me. I just want him to know that horrible things were done to me. And end of story, unless there's a need to know. Because my partner deserves to have joy and passion too, and I'm not hiding it. He knows exactly what. We even have a keyword that's only happened, it's only happened to me twice, that I had an actual cPTSD, like a flood of a memory, and then remembered that I was really happy, and actually felt amazingly good, because I don't do things I don't like anymore. And sex to me, and to most CSA survivors I think that I've talked to, and I do want to make a proper study of this, but you think you're good at it if you can do it at all, and you don't realize what you're missing until you've got it. And when you've got it, you go, oh god damn, I spent decades. No offense to my exes, there wasn't enough of me to give them, right? So I played the game, and I've played it pretty well, and I even enjoyed it. But I enjoyed it with the people that I played it with. But what I see is a dissociation that generally right after a person gets away from their assaulter, if they're like a teen, they will become promiscuous, or an adolescent or teen, and that's very common, becoming what looks like promiscuous. That's a label that other people give it, not me, okay? What you're doing is dissociating. So if you're in a pattern of just sleeping with people that you don't know very well, that you haven't even developed a chemical attraction for, except in the sense that you want sex, think about it. Are you wanting to have a relationship that involves sex? Or are you wanting to have sex because you're in a relationship that you're involved in? That's a better way to put it. This time, for the first time, I wanted to have sex because my relationship evolved to the point that I couldn't not. I'm like, please have sex with me. Please fuck me. That's where I was at. I think I even said those exact words. And that was like liberating. I want that for you. So yes, here's another double down to the people who call me. I get this a lot. You're just a drunken slut. I'm like, I just want to set the record straight. I am not a slut. And that's all I'm going to say on that one. But anyway, no one's a slut. If you choose to have a bunch of sex with a bunch of people and that's your choice, okay. I just want to make sure you're examining why you do it. Make sure that it's really a conscious choice that brings you joy and emotional peace, and that it's not because you're dissociating or being led down a path or making money. If it's for profit, you need to stop it. If they have to pay, it's not okay. You had to be there. Okay. This was last night. Last night, here, a little interlude. Last night I was writing chapter titles that I've been thinking of but had not written down. So here are the new chapter titles and I've already got too many, mind you. My book is already too long. So I thought I should write some more, because that's how I am. Surprise. Save yourself first. Little bitches in your hometown. That's actually a chapter now. Little bitches. What to do about little bitches in your hometown. It's a chapter of my book, Self-Talk, My Continuing Efforts to Survive Childhood Sexual Assault. And I tried to read some to you, and I got banned. I got banned when I tried to read from my book, and I didn't think it was very explicit. But evidently, you're not allowed to talk about being sexually assaulted because, heavens, we can call the men we fuck daddy, and we can call the girls we fuck little girl, and we can dress preschoolers in the equivalent of sexy clothes if they were on an adult, but call it cute because it's on a kid. We can do all these things in society. We can, 40, 50, 60-year-olds can legally have sex with 18-year-olds, and other people just think they're cool, in certain circles at least. We can do that, but we can't talk about what happened to us. And might I add, if you're a 30-something, 40-something, even a 20-something man who thinks it's okay to have sex with a teenager, get a freaking life, okay? You're a perv. We've walked the 20-something line, and that's something I do want to discuss with other people. And when I say discuss, I mean I'm going to try to convince you that I'm right, because that's what I do. But the fact that I'm willing to discuss it at all means that there is a little tiny bit of play in the wheel, maybe, that I will attempt to be understanding. Oh, another double down. No, I don't think I'm a star. That's not why I have a starlight. I have a starlight because I'm pretty poor, and I gave my kid like an expensive big ring light, and he is actually one of the Fortnite champions of the world, because there's 33 divisions and he won North American Eastern. But that's the like $10 light that I stole from him, because he doesn't use it, and it's the one in the house. So that's why I use a starlight, but I do kind of like it. I don't want to be a star. I just want to raise money for the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund, and I just want you to, have a life that includes joy and orgasms, and for the right reasons, Is there really a wrong reason to have an orgasm? I guess if you are a person who had orgasms while being sexually assaulted, I was not. I hear that is a thing. So if you are, by all means, I take the humor out of what I just said and say, also perfectly normal. You are human. You experience things. It doesn't make you guilty if it wasn't horrible. I was violently raped and assaulted the first time I had intercourse, actually. But it wasn't even by the guy that had been grooming me for years. It was by his, and oral, having me do oral and drugging and drinking and oral sex. It was a friend of his who came through town for one night, raped and sodomized me as a 14-year-old, and then split. And I'm Linda Gifford. It's 2022. See? Boom. I could have split right there. The past just came on me. Boom. It works. Okay. Whew. Get my focus back. Trying to think of why I was saying that. I was having a cPTSD moment. I get them all the time, but I also push them away all the time. That's what I was saying. I just think that women, I'm going to double down again. Yes. Another double down. It's Double Down Friday. And someone challenged me on this after I said it yesterday. Women, mothers, sisters, grandmothers, we contribute greatly to the fact that men think that young girls are fuckable. Young girls are fuckable to older men because we make them that way. We allow it. We allow it in society. We allow, do you remember wanting to look sexy before you knew what a penis and a vagina, or two penises or two vagina, whatever your combo is, what they did together? You didn't have a clue, but you knew you wanted breasts. You knew that you were supposed to have breasts, at least. You knew you wanted to be sexy before you had a clue what sex was. You didn't know what sexy led to when people around you were accepting, including you, Mom, accepting. And I had a wonderful mother, but still, our society accepts the sexualization of children. And then we're so surprised when people harm them sexually. Get a fucking clue. Okay. I'm supposed to curse less. I'm sorry I cursed. I'm not sorry. You knew that was coming. I didn't even know it was coming, but it had to come. It just had to come. Yeah. I do these to help you, and because it's also I'm at the final stages of my book, which means actually putting piles and piles of writings into some kind of order that makes some kind of sense. And so I decided that live streaming 5 days a week like this would allow me to separate chunks. And so thank you for being here with me. Thank you. I never look at this. 21 from Nebraska. Hello. Positive vibes only. Yes. Thank you. Hi, Lisa King. Positive vibes only. I need that too right now. I was so stressed. I went to the doctor and got medicine the other day, and don't be afraid of that either. I am 100% against antidepressants overall, except for maybe short term, whatever. I'm not a doctor. Never stop taking something like that. That's dangerous if you're on it without discussing it with someone. But just make sure that you're not misdiagnosed. Make sure that you're that they're giving you an antidepressant for depression, because most CSA survivors I talk to are not depressed. Well, actually, that's not true. The ones that I stopped seeing are depressed. Does that sound mean? The deal is there are three kinds of people. There's a billion kinds of people. You know what my grandpa used to say, and this is terrible. He'd say, "Don't take all kinds, we just got all kinds." I'm like, Grandpa, that's a horrendous thing to say. That's a horrendous thing to say. On the other hand, I suppose it is what it is. We all evolved, but we could just focus on the we got all kinds part. So that should be beautiful and wonderful. But for the purposes of my explanation, there are three types of people. There is the person, the CSA survivor, that is always living in the past. They're always angry. And they are depressed and sad, and they freak out, and they jump down the rabbit hole all the time. They'll end up on heavy meds. They'll end up having partners that either leave them or are not satisfied because they have been turned into a caretaker, and no partner wants to be turned into a caretaker. They want to work with you to awaken your passion. They don't want to freaking have to deal with your lack of it. So if you're never, ever willing to move past that point, and if I'm not getting through, I'm not mad at you. It's just that I am failing. I can accept failure and move on from those people. Then there are the people in the middle, and that's almost everyone I talk to is somewhere they're in the middle, but they're looking this way. They're looking that way, right? So if you're in the middle, you're at the point where you know that what happened to you happened to you. And oh, you know what? Right here. With freaking notes, right? Pages. Oh, my little baby there. That's actually Willie's first picture. Yes, when I read What Happened to You by Dr. Bruce D. Perry and Oprah Winfrey, I was like, oh my God. The first book that changed my life was The Courage to Heal. The Courage to Heal, I highly recommend that you go out because it's kind of a Bible for CSA survivors. This is right there on my Bible shelf now. What Happened to You will, and you don't have to be a CSA survivor. I think everyone in the world, this should be required reading, translated into every language. I've talked about why before, and I'm not going to go there now, so I just wanted to give it a shout out. Oprah Winfrey, Dr. Bruce Perry, thank you very much for your insight. And what it did for me is it validated a whole bunch of stuff I'd already written. Like, to see a doctor saying all the stuff that I'm already saying and have been for 2 years in live streams made me feel validated, because I'm pulling it out of my ass. But my ass is a CSA survivor, therefore, and after I pulled it out of my ass, 3 separate university professors from 3 separate colleges messengered me asking if they could use it as required reading. So I think I'm onto something. And the first 7 chapters are pinned on my Facebook page by the same name, Linda K. Survives. It started out Linda K. Gifford. But my son said, you need to be a brand. And I'm like, oh, what? because I'm old people. But now I'm Linda K. Survives, because surviving is a process. Have I said that before? I think I have. Okay. You know what? I'm getting like a headache. It's not a headache, but it's like pulling hairs right here all of a sudden. Okay. My hair's still wet. All right. There we go. There we go. All right. So, I think, where was I at? Oh, I was reading titles of my book, or my chapters. Don't trade your daughter for a cow. That's a chapter of my book. It's already written too. Don't trade your daughter for a cow. You know, wouldn't you think that would just go without saying? Wouldn't you? But no, it's not. It's not. And actually, the woman, the Maasai tribe woman who was interviewed, that I got that from, that I titled after I talked about it once before a long time ago, she was interviewed, and she felt sorry for us because we don't have sister wives, right? And her explanation, like, made me cry, right? Her explanation was, well, at 14, she was given to a much older man, someone I'm assuming sounds like, late 30s kind of deal. He takes her out to the middle of nowhere in the forest to their hut, their home, and then she's all alone. And when he's there, she gets raped, then she drops babies. He comes home with a second wife, and she's thrilled. Now she's not alone, and someone else can have some of those babies, right? And then they were both thrilled. She said, I'm bullet pointing. This is the Reader's Digest version for sure. More like the Cliff Notes. Third wife comes, super, super excited now, because now we've got 3 people having babies and more to make daughters, because these words came out of this woman's mouth, because we can trade them for livestock, because we can trade them for cattle. So she's glad to have sister wives, so they can take some of the raping, have some of the babies, make more babies, so they can trade their daughters for cattle. So this goes back to, don't respect other people's cultures if they marginalize women. And the women may not even know they're being marginalized. They don't want to think their life sucks. They're going along with all they know. Does she seem happy? Yeah. Let's see. If we put her in our shoes for a while, and then say, would you like to go back to that lifestyle? Or would you like self-determination, orgasms with somebody you choose that you're really attracted to, and you don't have to sell your daughter for a cow? I'm guessing she's going to be with us. I am. Oh, off topic. Almost everything I wear, cuffs, yes. Leather cuffs from Africa. This is DZI Meditations from Indonesia, actually Tibet. My son made me this one, John. Thank you. I love it. I wear it all the time when he was little. These are brass images. And the reason I don't tag, which I was asked, you talk about, your jewelry and everything you wear being from your store. feelgoodfairtrade.com is my store. We've been in business 5 years next month. Yeah. 5 years open online as an ethical retailer of 100% certified fair trade, gifts bought from over 20 women, from over 40 groups in over 20 countries. Okay. But they change all the time. So while there's always 1,500, 2,000-ish gifts on there, I don't tag them, because by the time that I do, it'll be gone. These are products bought from actual women and families and communities of artisans that we pre-buy them, and we put them in our warehouse, and we sell them to you in small quantities, because it's one person, not a machine. And many of them are working without even electricity and all. And most of them are either escaping sex work, being offered an alternative to sex work, is a better way to put that, rescued from trafficking, say our Starfish line, Maya tribes, they are rescued from all kinds of things, and then taught a trade. Our scarves, I don't do clothes because it's too much of a return, but our scarves and bags, many of them are from Indonesia, from women also being lifted out of poverty or being given an alternative to sex work. We buy from communities of men in Haiti who are painting, who are taking recycled steel drums and creating beautiful wall art. Feelgoodfairtrade.com is super important to me to support. Makes me able to do this. But I've also started a new charity called the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund, and I'm going to have sweet merchandise for you really soon. And there'll be a Sweet Survivor subscription. It's actually, I did start it and then closed it, and it's about to open with this website. I keep promising to open, but it just takes longer than it's taking longer than I want it to, because I'm doing all my own IT and I know how to do it, but I need 3 of me. So I'm also looking for volunteers. Volunteers with Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund would be really nice. So don't trade your daughter for a cow. Chapter of the book. I'm no longer... Oh, it's that meme. The meme that's on my Facebook page. I love it. I'm no longer fighting my inner demons. We're on the same side now. Yeah. That's the educate and advocate, though, because you just can't go kill people. I mean, you can, but there are consequences. And while I always say you don't need forgiveness, and you're unlikely to move forward without any hate at all or any bad feelings, and if someone tells you you have to, tell them to buzz off. Buzz not being my first choice of words. But all you have to do is choose joy. Choose happiness. Choose to make life better for other people. Whether you are open and tell what happened to you to other people or not, you can choose to tell yourself. You can choose to tell yourself that the shame is not yours, and you can choose to tell yourself, I'm no longer going to just try not to think about what happened to me. I'm going to think about it. But just enough to make a memory. Do your trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy. Go back to last week. Go back to the last several live streams on YouTube. Linda K-Surviving in Spades. And you will get lessons in that. And we'll talk about it more. And we'll circle back to it. Because they all wrap up together. My Spades letters. And this whole week has been about not waiting to feel okay to be okay. So I hope what you've gotten out of this is there's never going to come a moment where everything's honky-peachy, perfect-dory. But manifesting a better life is a choice. And I reiterate often, but again, manifesting, don't think of it all like, oh, I have to make things. I have to make what I want appear. That seems so hard. Just make what you want disappear until, not the killing stuff, not the vengeance. This doesn't have to do with that. Okay. Make the job trail. Make the partner. Make the bad parts of your relationship. By all means. I'm not saying check your partner out immediately, at least. I'm saying be honest and say, I matter. I will have sensations and feelings, and I will have sex with someone that smells like someone I want to have sex with, not someone that I have to because I'm married to them, even though they got to be like really gross or unattractive to me, or they're mean to me or whatever, but I have to because we're married. Don't be that person, and don't even voluntarily just go out and have sex. I mean, you do you, okay? It's very directive of me, isn't it? But that's kind of what I'm doing. If I were you, then I would not disrespect myself in that way. I would consider it disrespectful, at least, if I were just having sex with anybody and not being fulfilled. If having sex with anybody gives you screaming orgasms, you're super happy, it doesn't complicate your life, and you're not looking for love, fine. But the only way you can find love is to, the old cliche, don't look. And the only way you can not look and find it, both, is to be open and aware of your own feelings and your own sensations. And I just think you have to know a person better than that. I think you have to, somebody needs to fuck your mind before you let them fuck your body. Can we put that on a bumper sticker? I bet I get banned. Am I going to get banned? But it's true. It's true. But You don't want someone who's a mindfuck. You want someone who's willing to make love to your mind until you say, I want your body. And you mean it. Mean it. All right. I do want to see if there was anything else I wanted to talk about today. Let's see. I think we talked about not trading your daughter for a cow. Teens and 20-somethings. I still think it's pretty ick. I have 24 and 25-year-old sons, and neither one of them would dream of sleeping with a teenager, because there's a huge difference in those few years of living off of somebody else and living on your own. And everyone needs those years, I think. So I am going to continue lumping 20-somethings in loosely. Okay? I'll give you some 18, 19, 20 leeway. But 29, 17, whatever. Basically, if you want to have sex with children, there's something wrong with you. And if you don't think that a 16 or 17-year-old is a child, you are wrong. And that's the problem. They don't look like children in the boob sense, you know, and some men don't say that. Some people try to base a person's fuckability on their physique. And that's not fair, because emotional development, I mean, I know girls that had reasonably sized breasts, bigger than some adults I know, when they were 14 years old, you know. And it's not fair to make someone a target because they have breasts. It's just not. You can't target a child and call them an adult because they have breasts, and because we've sexualized them into dressing in such a way that we feel is provocative. Oh, and that's something I needed to clarify too. I am not body shaming. This came up. I think it's perfectly acceptable to wear next to nothing in occasions where it's appropriate. Swimming, volleyball, whatever. So I'm not talking about the amount of skin showing when I say dress your child appropriately. I'm not saying, you know, everyone in a burqa. You know, no. And I think priests really ought to, like, you remember when the Catholic Church a while back said that men and priests, like, or that women need to not wear spaghetti straps and stuff because they're just provoking priests and men. And I'm like, maybe instead keep your dick in your pants when you see a nice set of shoulders or knees, okay? Maybe that. So no, it's not about the amount of skin that's showing. That's not what I mean. I'm talking about, there are certain things, you know, consult your Adam and Eve or Victoria's Secret catalog and find items that we generally, like a thong, for instance, is generally considered a more sexy thing. You can buy thongs for 12-year-olds. This is what I'm saying. Sexualize a child, and don't be surprised when people treat them like a sex object. So I would prefer you to not do that. Don't do that, actually. Educate and advocate against that, please. All right. I think we're good for the day. Mostly I wanted to tell you how not to be okay. Yeah, how not to be okay. What do you think about, one more thing I wrote down, because this whole Tiger Woods comeback. Every time Tiger Woods comes up, I immediately think of, I'm a sex addict. And as a CSA survivor, knowing that there is a, what appears to be promiscuity, which is really dissociation in disguise happening, knowing that, I decided I should stop being so judgmental, because I tend to think when someone says they're a sex addict that they're full of shit and that it's just an excuse. And a lame-ass one. But anyway, maybe I should be more forgiving. Or not. Maybe they're creeps. See what I'm going through? What do you think? I'm like, you filthy perv. You know? Is he the one? Or was it, I don't know, someone bought their wife a big diamond, like huge multi-million-dollar diamond, and I'm like, I'd say thank you for that. I'm going to go buy my own house now. The way I feel about it is, if my partner's whatever they've got has been touching somebody else's whatever they've got, I'm no longer going to ever be able, not interested or even physically able to touch them again. I think that's disgusting. I was asked to forgive a cheater, and I'm like, is that a thing? And I get asked a lot, you know, how do I deal with a cheating spouse? And I'm like, you've got the wrong coach. I deal with CSA survivors. And even if I did start to see you, if you are a CSA survivor, you're going to have to get over that really quickly, or I'm not going to keep seeing you. Because I see, back to where we were, and I'll wrap up on that. 3 kinds of people, right? I was saying those people over there, they're always going to be mad. They're always going to be angry. They're always going to be depressed. They're the ones pumping the antidepressants, and maybe they need them. But it's too bad, because I think it's stopping them from having real sexual feelings. And real sexual feelings only come when you respect yourself and when you really want to be with someone. And you only really want to be with someone if you allow yourself to be who you want to be in every way. And then just see what's left in your picture. De-manifest. Manifest reality by getting rid of whatever you don't want. And all that's going to be left is what you do, what you can accept, what you like, and then draw from that pool, right? So think of manifesting reality as removing all that stuff till all that's left is what you like. Like I said, I'm reiterating, but it's so important. And then apply belief. This is the last thing I really want to clarify, because it keeps coming up. I always get into people try to get me into religious arguments, and I'm like, dudes, I've already told you what I think about religion. Keep the love and the goodness part, but realize that trippy power stuff came into play and started making rules that disparage against people, and throw that crap out. Okay? You can love the good stuff, but you've got to reject the bad stuff. But belief, when I talk about belief, most people, you're so hung up on belief being like in something. I believe in the 10 Commandments, which is just common goddamn sense. I believe in miracles. Well, you can or you can't. But if someone tells you, you have to believe that this thing happened way in the past, whatever, or you have to believe that this miracle happened. And if you don't believe this thing, whatever it is, if you don't believe that women are meant to be subjugated, if you don't believe whatever, then you are wrong, and you have to believe. That's where most people are hung up. They think of belief as something that they automatically put resistance up. So when I tell you you need to believe in something, I meet immediate resistance. Don't tell me what to believe. I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a whatever, I was raised to whatever, or I reject this or that or whatever, and don't tell me what to believe. And I'm telling you, I'm not telling you what to believe. It's ridiculous. I'm telling you that belief is a tool. In the sense, you can have all the other definitions you want. Lots of things have multiple definitions. For me, and for our purposes, know that belief is a tool that you utilize to get where you want to be. Final word. Where you want to be is not always, in fact, it's not often. In fact, it is seldom visible. Seldom is the place you want to be visible. And that stops people. That keeps them in the middle. It keeps them that middle person. I know what happened to me. I'm taking steps to be better. I'm not totally destroying my life. I'm capable of having relationships, but I'm not changing. I'm not seeking more joy. I'm not seeking a job or a relationship that really brings me joy. And I'm not educating and advocating. I'm comfortable in the middle. I'm not totally happy, but I'm just comfortable in the middle, okay? This is the place I'm going to edge you out of, okay? I want to edge you to joy and action, because the people that I'm going to hang out with need to be taking action. And that's what all next week is going to be about, educating and advocating and taking action. So the thing I want you to do, your homework this weekend, is to realize that at the end of the path is something unseen, but it's goddamn better than the end of the path full of things you do not like. So kick the shit off your path and out of your picture and out of your vision for the future that does not fit your ultimate, this is what I want. You may not get it all, but you'll at least head in the right direction where there's more joy on the path. And I'd rather die trying than not take the steps down the path towards something better. So if you are that person, come back. Come back next week, because we're going to start talking about educating and advocating. And of course, every single letter wraps up it every day, because it does. Because it's how we do this. So let's do it together. What's the S? The shame is not yours. Bottom of the pyramid all day long. The shame is not yours. Okay, I know that, right? Consciously. Boom, you're already not that person. You know the shame is not yours. You're out of that. You're over it. Boom. Uh-oh. I have cPTSD. I know consciously what is right and wrong and where my guilt does and does not lie. But I am having trouble with cPTSD, or separating the past from the present. So boom, we're going to use all my techniques that we talk about in the whole week on this. Separate the past from the present, right? So, now that I've done that, I want to head in the direction of joy. So joy is at the top of the pyramid. So it's like ask for what you want. There's the A, right? You're moving up the pyramid. Now you're going to continue always knowing the shame is not yours, and you're going to continue separating the past from the present, because you have to. That's our cross to bear. That's why we have cPTSD, and that's our cross to bear. But we're going to bear it well, and it's not going to hurt us so much anymore, because we are educating ourselves, right? And we're going to ask for what we want. And by asking for what we want, we can be honest, because honesty, you can't ask for what you want if you're not honest. So now I've forced honesty out of you. Ha! Take that. So then we're going to go do the things, and we're going to take the steps in the direction, like the whole week we've talked about. We're not waiting to feel okay to be okay, because we're mostly okay. We're going to always be mostly okay. So now we're taking action. We're not waiting, right? Next week, we're going to educate and advocate, because that is how you take it out of yourself. And kind of straddling this week, not waiting to feel okay and be okay, and educating and advocating, is making the mental file I talked at length about yesterday. To recap, you're so used to swallowing it, draw it, paint it, whatever you need to do. And then you're going to make a memory. In doing that, you have just made a memory out of the mess that becomes cPTSD. And that memory, now you're going to file it not back in your heart and your gut, but right up here in your open mind mental shelves. So I'm going to make this a chapter of my book. I said it yesterday and I really like it, and I forgot to write it down. Or I think I did write it down. Your heart and your gut are two tinted windows, like your mind and your soul are to open shelving, right? You want to see that file. Now you know what's in it. You don't have to re-experience it all the time. Put it goddamn away. Keep it there for when you need it. Access it for literary purposes. Access it when you're starting to have a cPTSD event and say, oh, wait, that's something that happened to me in the past. I'm Linda Gifford. It's 2022 and I'm a CSA survivor and I'm working on getting over that. And look, I'm not having an event now because I just talked myself out of it, right? So we're going to work harder on the mental file next week. And I'm even going to make one. This was suggested to me. Actually, I think I suggested it. My therapist said, that's a great idea. So let's make a box. It says SWEET, which means survivors will end Earth's trafficking. And that is why the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund is named the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund. And I've got sweet merchandise about to be launched, hopefully this weekend. So stay with me. Let's educate and advocate next week. And for God's sake, go have an orgasm this weekend, okay? A real one. And don't fuck anybody that doesn't smell good to you. Talk to you Monday. 4 o'clock. We've settled on 4 to 5 from now on. 4 to 5.